Well, folks, the time has come. Bed Bath & Beyond stock has been officially delisted off the NASDAQ exchange, and trading has been suspended, as you guys probably know already. So in this video, we're going to break down what to expect with your shares, what's going to happen to Bed Bath & Beyond stock, and we'll talk about what I'm doing. So if you all find value in this video, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, and don't forget to get up to 15 stocks from Moomoo. Link down below. Once you open up an account, you get one free share of stock right off the bat, and if you deposit at least $100, you get 4 more stocks totaling 5 stocks, and if you deposit at least $1,000, you get 10 more stocks, guys, totaling 15 stocks. And with that being said, let's dive into it. So like I said, guys, and like all you probably know at this point, the NASDAQ has officially booted Bed Bath & Beyond stock off of their exchange, and we're seeing trading completely suspended as of right now. You guys can see, I think in the pre-market, this thing got to about, or was that after the bell yesterday? Either way, this thing got down to about 6.5 cents, and yesterday during trading, you guys probably remember, this stock went from 10.5 cents roughly all the way down to about 7.5 cents, actually a little bit lower than 7.5 cents. It dropped 27% on the day, as a lot of people were just jumping ship. They were calling it quits, as they knew today, May 3rd, was the day that trading would be suspended, and of course the stock would be kicked off of the NASDAQ exchange. And to be listed on the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, there are certain requirements that a company needs to meet, and I'm not going to list all these requirements in this video, but let's just say Bed Bath & Beyond did not meet those requirements, and that's a big reason. It's the reason why the stock was kicked off of the exchange. And of course, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on the 23rd of May. That was about 10 days ago, or April rather. That was about 10 days ago, and that's really what got the snowball rolling to them getting delisted and kicked off of the the exchange. So at this point, guys, what happens to your shares, my shares, anybody's shares out there that's holding the stock? Well, let's talk about that right now. So let's get into it, guys. So when a company delists voluntarily, meaning it's their choice, right? Shareholders will usually receive cash to buy them out or shares in the new acquiring company, which of course Bed Bath & Beyond stock did not delist voluntarily. It was involuntarily, right? And when it's forced to go, the outcome is usually different. No special offer comes. You either find a buyer on the exchange or are left holding a stake in a company that's no longer listed. And holding delisted stocks, you guys can see here, is generally not desirable, right? It's not the ideal situation that you want to be in. The shares don't disappear, but they do become much more difficult to trade, and once off the exchange, in this case Bed Bath & Beyond got kicked off the NASDAQ exchange, they can trade OTC, in other words, over the counter. And these markets don't offer the same accessibility and liquidity as the major exchanges do, like the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange, right? You'll be faced with much higher transaction costs and wider bid-ask spreads. So in other words, let's say you're trying to buy Bed Bath & Beyond stock, let's say at 1 cent or 1.5 cents, you might get filled at, let's say, 2 cents or something like that. You might get filled at 1 cent or 0.07 cents. You know what I mean, right? You might not get filled exactly where you want to buy the stock. There's a lot of volatility, there's less liquidity, right? And there's a wider bid-ask spread, so you're going to be all over the place essentially, right? And another factor to consider is that there's less regulation. As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, there's less regulation outside of the major exchanges, and requirements are more relaxed, including those relating to communications, leaving investors more in the dark and unaware of what is going on within the company in which they're invested. So of course, guys, this is not the ideal situation, but overall what's going to happen is the shares are going to go OTC, over the counter. So essentially you can still trade the stock. I mean, you could still hop in and out of it, but there's less regulation, less liquidity, less volume essentially, right? And the way wider bid-ask spreads, you're going to be getting filled all over the place, and it's going to be harder to actually trade the stock. And of course, the risk goes, well, the risk was already high with Bed Bath & Beyond stock, but now it's going through the roof now that it's being delisted off the NASDAQ exchange, right? And what should you do after the delisting. Let's talk a little bit about that. Then I'll talk about what I'm doing with the stock. So if you still hold shares after they've been delisted, your next step depends a lot on what you're invested in, how convinced you are about its prospects, and whether you have the stomach to deal with the murkier, less transparent alternative exchanges, which in this case, guys, of course, Bed Bath & Beyond, they're liquidating all their assets, right? They're trying to get rid of everything. They file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The prospects are way more than murky, here as Investopedia.com has it, worded, way more than murky, guys. And, it's not looking good at all. So, I mean, at this point, are there even any prospects to the stock, to the company? Not really. So that's, something that you have to consider. And you can still sell the shares, but the conditions to do so will now be generally less favorable. Like we covered earlier in this video, volume thins out, and when you leave a major exchange with OTC transactions, there are fewer buyers, fewer sellers, meaning wider bid-ask spreads, and getting less than the going rate, which of course that's not ideal. And in some cases, you may only be able to trade the shares by appointment, which, I mean, that's not the world that we're living in right now with, usual stock trading, which is pretty crazy. And can you sell your stock shares or your shares after delisting? If you still hold the shares after they are delisted, you can sell them, just not on the exchange on which they were traded before. Stock exchanges are very advantageous for buying and selling shares. When they delist and trade over the counter, selling shares and getting a reasonable price for them becomes much harder. And for all of you out there wondering, will Bed Bath & Beyond one day be relisted? Maybe if there's a miracle. I guess technically, yes, that is possible. Of course, a lot of it depends on the circumstances of being delisted. Those forced to leave often find it difficult to get their affairs back in order and bounce back, especially without the funding and opportunities that the stock market provides. There are a few success stories, but there are few and far between. And of course, I mean, is the listing good for the company? There's no shot it's good for the company, and the shares, of course, the stock. It's not a good scenario to be in, guys. It is not a good scenario to be in. So what am I doing with my stock? Well, you guys know, I mean, I'm a man of my word. I talked about this before on the channel. I was going to either ride Bed Bath & Beyond stock to the moon, whether it got to a couple dollars again, $10 if a miracle happened, or I was going to ride it to the dirt. And well, it looks like we did not get that pop to a couple dollars to $10. We actually got the ride to the dirt. And well, I did exactly that, guys. I did not sell any shares. I bought 2 times. It's not like I had millions of shares or some crazy amount. I put a small amount of money into Bed Bath & Beyond, and I was like, this is my limit. And actually, I was looking to get up to 5,000 shares. You guys probably remember if you watched my my videos on Bed Bath & Beyond stock from a couple weeks ago, before the bankruptcy filing, before it really started to collapse. I was telling you guys, look, I had 1,300 shares. I was looking to get up to 5,000. Never got to 5,000. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm glad that I never got to 5,000. Even though I would have, I would have been fine losing 5,000 shares worth of it. I only lost 1,300 shares worth of it. Well, technically, it's not completely gone yet. We'll see what happens over the counter, right? OTC markets. I don't know. It's going to be a wild ride. But yeah, I mean, I rode it to the dirt, guys. I had 1,300 shares. Still have 1,300 shares. And, at this point, we have to wait for the delisting process to play out and, see the next steps from here, which, of course, I'll make more Bed Bath & Beyond videos moving forward. We'll see how it plays out. So if you want to see more updates, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell while you're at it. And, yeah, guys, I'm holding on to my 1,300 shares, average cost of 41 cents, I believe. Yeah, 41 cents, something like that. And really, at this point, the shares are worthless. At 7.5 cents, where the stock closed yesterday, my position was literally worth $100, if that. So it's an amount of money that I make in a day. I make way more than $100 in a single day, guys. It's not that big of a deal for me to lose that money. But it was a fun ride. It was a fun ride, and it's not over yet, but it's pretty much coming to an end. But it's not completely over yet. we'll see what happens OTC, guys. I mean, it's the wild, wild west. It's going to be very volatile, very risky. So please, please, please trade at your own risk. But, as of now, it's not looking good at all for Bed Bath & Beyond stock, the company. It's pretty much over. It's pretty much over, guys. So if you found value in the video, hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. And, guys, don't forget to get up to 15 stocks from Moomoo. Link down below. Once you open up an account, you get 1 free share of stock right off the bat. And if you deposit at least $100, you get 4 more stocks, totaling 5 stocks. And if you deposit at least $1,000, are you guys ready for this? You get 10 more stocks, totaling 15 free stocks. And of course, all those links down below, the Moomoo link, the Webull link, the Patreon, help out the channel. And without you guys, this would not be possible here for me, doing YouTube, doing all the social media stuff. I appreciate you guys as always. And with that being said, cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.